This is Antler Up, a podcast about the Edmonton Elks in the Canadian Football League. As always, coming to you from inside the home studio for Antler Up. That's the Joey Moss Suite here at Commonwealth Stadium. Another tough one in Ottawa for the Elks last Friday night, 26-7, the final score. The Red Blacks win over the Elks. It's now on to the next one. Another short week against another rested club as the Elks will be in Regina to play the Riders coming up on Thursday. You can see that game on TSN. You can hear it on 630 CHED and the Elks Radio Network. Check out goelks.com to find out the details about the watch party as well. Thank you for downloading and listening to the show today. You can head back in the archives as well to hear all the episodes previously done this season. So far this year, we've talked with Dean Faithful, Jamin Pelly, Eugene Lewis, and Elks Director of Scouting, Sammy Gahagan. You won't miss an episode if you subscribe, so please do that. Also, like and share so others can find out about the podcast as well.
Arbuckle drops. He's got time. He'll throw. That is complete to Arceneaux.
Oh, he's
across the 10 into the end zone.
Oh. Very nice.
Antler Up, Edmonton. Touchdown, Elks.
Today, this show turns into the Manny Show. This is Antler Up, episode 25. Manny Arceneaux. Let's go.
I like that.
Touchdown, Antler Up, Edmonton. Touchdown, Elks. Taylor Cornelius takes it himself as he got an open lane to the end zone. Antler Up, Edmonton. Touchdown, Elks.
You're on the 6 game right now. That must drive you crazy.
Yeah, it does. But at the end of the day, you kind of got to just understand it's a marathon, not a sprint, and kind of stick to the script so everything can go as accordingly as planned. So when that 6 game is up, you're ready to return and be able to contribute and help your team win some football games.
Injured players, I'm guessing especially veteran injured players like yourself, still have a role to play, right? You're still around the team. You're still helping out as much as you can.
Yeah, huge role, man. And that's what it is, being around and being able to do as much as you can within the rules and the different guidelines that are put in place for the 6 game or IR guys. But, yeah, it's the sitting, the waiting. It really teaches you patience, but sometimes it's good to be able to sit back and you view the game from a different perspective and mindset, being that you're not out there. You kind of really appreciate it even much more. And it just gets you really in the mindset. And like me, I'm different. This part for me is fun because it's the process. Being able to come back and overcome this adversity is what I look forward to most every morning I wake up.
You're a big believer in the process too, aren't you? Not just when you're hurt, but throughout everything.
Man, you got to. I didn't play 14 years by mistake, and nothing was ever handed to me. So I love the process. It show you what you're made of, and you got to really tap into who you are and really not forgetting who you are, to be exact. And kind of like now, being in one of these little slumps that we in, we should soon gain traction. But each guy in that locker room, don't forget who you are. Don't forget why you're here, and don't forget what got you here. And when you kind of get into these little funks right now, you tend to kind of forget who you are. Your confidence can shift a little bit, which is normal, which is natural. But you have to remind yourself of who you are at times. And, we struggling, but it's just one of those things, man, on each individual. Just, hey, let me see what it is I can do to better myself that can help the overall team.
You talk about 0-4 now and confidence. That's got to be hard right now. Are you getting in ears? Are you talking to guys like on a daily basis?
Man, yeah, every day I'm talking to guys, man, because it's about just picking up the morale around here. And I'm not out there playing, so it's easy for me to talk to these guys. And it's just understanding that it's going to start. It's just a matter of when. But it's like you got to take it one day at a time. And games aren't won on Thursday. The game is won Sunday through Wednesday. The preparation that we're putting in to head into Mosaic Stadium. And I'm just telling guys, you cannot show up on game day and expect to hit this switch. It doesn't work that way. So it's about not taking the grind or the game for granted. And they received the message, and the whole thing is, okay, whatever you've done as an individual up to now, we need to change something, switch it, because you can't do the same thing and expect different results. That's what insanity, right? So switch it up. How you prepare, how you watch film, how you approach the work week of practice, how you might approach just your warm-up. Try to switch up something, because apparently what you've been doing hasn't been working. enough efficiently, you see. So, and that's what I'm trying to get them in the mindset of. And it falls on the individual. Hold yourself accountable and really be able to take the constructive criticism and to show up, like you said, 0-4. Confidence doesn't match with that, but we're professional athletes, so you have to have that confidence and that mindset that things will get better.
Chris Jones was talking about that this week, and football players, high school football players who are 0-4, it's easy. College, it's a little bit tougher, but when you're a professional and you're 0-4, that's when there's so much pressure on everybody, from the coaching staff to all the players, to turn it around, and it can really get heavy in there. Right?
Yeah, it can, man. But that's why, like, you gotta stay off the social media. You know what? Some homeboys that don't have your best interest in mind, you might have to block their number, because now is the time for everybody to kick you when you're down. The talk of the league. It's easy to talk about guys when you aren't being successful, when you aren't winning, because that's when you can get your jabs in. So I tell most guys, man, stay off social media. If you can't handle what's being said, if you can't handle the talks, if you can't handle the reporters, you know what? Hey, it ain't for you to be on there, or you just don't need to talk. You don't need to do interviews right now if that's going to affect your game. But at the end of the day, we here to be pros, and that's doing what's expected to do at a very high level. At no point mentally should you check out or figure you just checking the boxes, going through the motions, because each guy is counting on the guy to count on them. And like right now, we're in a position we don't want to be in. It won't last forever, but we have a great group of dudes. It's a few pieces here and there, and I just think for us, the second we can kind of play for a team, because when you're 0-4, plays aren't being made, you kind of start to figure, let me do it all in this one play, or let me be the guy to get this team going. But nah, do your job and count on your teammate to do his job. Now we can work as a collective group as a whole, so we can win on special teams, offense or defense, not thinking we need defense to do this, offense to do that. Can special teams do this? Nah, let's lean on one another. And I think the second we can put 4 quarters of football together as a whole is the game you're going to see the Edmonton Elks come out on top.
What's it like for you watching games when you're hurt? Are you on the sidelines?
Yes, home games I'm on the sideline. Away games, I watch it at home, or I'll go out to a pub that's in the area and watch the game. But it's different for me, because how I look at the game is not from a player's perspective, it's from a coach's point of view. So as soon as they break the huddle, the first thing I'm thinking, alignment, assignment, execute. I see the concept, I know the play, because I still study and prepare during the week as if I'm playing. So you start seeing the things differently, and I'm looking at the execution of what's being called. So I don't look at it as, hey, this is a football game. From an offensive standpoint, that's what I'm looking for, the execution of it. So now, after the game, guys can feel a certain way because you didn't play, so you just played the game. I didn't play the game, but I can see, oh, you know what, our alignment's off here. We should have made that catch. We should have got that block. You know what, this play could have been a changing factor in the game, you see. So I look at it from just an execution standpoint, which makes it hard on me, because it's like now I'm into it, where it takes my energy, and I'm not even playing, but it's just to see these guys putting the work throughout the week, then us to come out and fall short on game day is one of the feelings that you kind of don't want for your teammates anyway.
All right. You were born in Alexandria, Louisiana.
Yeah.
You grow up there too?
Born and raised.
What was it like growing up in Alexandria, Louisiana?
Small inner city, single parent, no father figure around, but that's what I had coaches and mentor for. I'm the baby. I have an older sister. But growing up there, you already against the odds. Most people known to not make it out, and I'm being one of the first to actually come out of Alexandria in my family, the first to do everything. So you know what, that's what I think about while being up here in Canada, that my journey to get to where I'm at has always been a dogfight. So whether it's an injury, being released from somewhere, it's not the end of the road, because what I had to deal with growing up, way tougher than what I'm facing now. Being on an 0-4 team, sitting on a 6-game injury list, to me, that's a piece of cake, because I know that it'll get better, and it's something that I can fix. Yeah.
You mentioned no father figure growing up. Is that why you have done what you do off the field? Because you've become a father figure for a lot of people.
Man, that's exactly what it is. I had one coach, man, by the names of Jules Sutherland, that gave me an opportunity. I only played 5 high school games my senior year and got a full ride scholarship. So I didn't choose football. It kind of chose me. And that was my outlet out of the inner city, or some would call the hood, or whatever you want to use. But that was my outlet. And when I came to teams, it was always veteran guys. I come to BC Lions. You had G. Roy Simon, Perry Jackson. You know, I go to Minnesota Vikings. You got Bernard Berry and Devin Aroma Shadu, Percy Harvin, Jared Allen, those kind of veteran guys that was around there. And then you come back to the CFL, now I'm that veteran guy. So the love that was showed to me and guys that brought me along, I figure it's only right, you know, to pass the torch to the next generation, the next crop of guys. But it's all about willing to help a guy that want to be helped, learn from my mistakes and not your own. And that's kind of how the game was given to me. And still today, like talking with a Geno, Dunbar, Swerve, and all them, it's like, nah, it's ways to elevate your game even at this point of your career. Like, I felt that now, my 14th season, what my offseason consisted of, I'm better than what I was 3, 4, 5 years ago. But it's like you can never get bored with the fundamentals or think you didn't reach the point where you're not coachable. So at any time, I'm able to mentor a guy I want to, because the last thing you want to keep you out of football is something that's non-football related.
You have taken a lot of young receivers under your wing as a professional. To me, that's a hard thing to do, to take a guy and make him better so that, quote unquote, he can take your job someday. It's
Right.
It's not that he's going to take your job, but it's tough to. I think it's tough for a lot of guys to do that.
Man, when your heart is in it for all the right reasons, which how mine is, it don't bother me. Being able to take a Brian Burnham, a Courtney Taylor, a Nick Moore, or come over to SAS for that one season and be around a Shaq Evans, and we had the little Jordan Williams Lambert, the guy they gave my position, but I'm still going to mentor this guy to come to an Edmonton Elks team that had a Kenny Lawler, a Darrell Walker. Now I'm coming back this year with a Geno Lewis, a Stephen Dunbar, a Swerve, Gavin Cobb. Like, nah, that's what I'm here to compete and show guys how the game's supposed to be played. So at no point am I insecure thinking my job's being taken. At some point you will be replaced, but as long as I'm showing up, nothing is given. I'm finna work my butt off day in and day out to make it hard on that younger guy that doesn't know yet what it is to really be a pro. It ain't just showing up or having a cool college highlight or making 3 or 4 catches. What it is once the blueprint out on you, how good are you? When they know you're the go-to guy, can you still get open? Can you still fulfill your goals that you put out before the season started? I want to be a 1,000-yard receiver. I want 100-something catches. I want to lead the league in this or that. Are you still able to do that once the blueprint is out? And I think for me, at my body of work, I've been able to do that throughout my career if it wasn't for an injury. And I didn't had fluke injuries, nothing that you can just play with type injuries, but they know if it was up to me, I would stay on the field till whatever it is don't work no more. But at this point, I got to protect me from me, follow the doctors, the trainer protocols, and we have a great medical staff with Cheese and Coach Craig coming in to the fold this year. It's been tremendous, but it's just, you can't play this game with fear of losing your spot to a guy. So it's your job to pass the torch and get the next guy ready, because when you get injured, it's next man up. So you don't want the team to lose a beat.
Elkhorn State. You mentioned you only played 5 games your senior year in high school.
Yeah.
And you end up getting a scholarship.
Full scholarship to Elkhorn State.
Tell me about how that process, going through that. What was
Man,
that like?
it was crazy. So we played Dutchtown in the playoffs on a Friday. Saturday, we come in and clean up the locker room, the field house. Coach say, hey, I want y'all to make a highlight tape. We look at Coach like, what's that? So you can go to college. We was like, who goes to college? So no lie, it was on VHS. I made a highlight tape that Saturday morning. I put it in the mail on Monday. I sent it to all the SWAC schools, HBCUs, that's Southern, Grambling, Alcorn, those in that conference that threw the ball. I mailed it off Monday. Alcorn got my tape on Wednesday. They called my coach on Friday. Hey, can Manny Arceneaux come down for our game versus Southern? It was basketball, but you come down for the little visit or whatnot to see it. My mom didn't have a car, so Coach Brown, that was a helper, gave me a ride to Alcorn. So I made a tape Saturday, mailed it Monday. Wednesday they got it. They called me Friday. I get to the campus of Alcorn Saturday night at halftime. You go in, the recruits meet the coach. I remember shaking Johnny Thomas' hand. He didn't know how to say Arceneaux. My last name is like Emmanuel Astronaut or whatnot. He from Mississippi. Couldn't pronounce it. So I signed a full ride scholarship that Saturday night. I made a tape Saturday, mailed it Monday. They got it Wednesday, called me Friday. I caught a ride to Lorman, Mississippi. When I went in and shook his hand, they offered me a full ride scholarship that week. And so it's like
That's a week that changed your life.
Right, exactly. And I went to Alcorn, didn't have a car. So when I got dropped off, I was 2.5 hours away from home, never came there. So I did football in the fall and I ran track in the spring. So I was basically, I never had a spring break, none of that. So I was there strictly for business, looking for a way out to better myself. And when my mom came to my graduation, she came to my senior day and she came to my graduation. Out of them 4 years, them was the 2 times she visited. She handed me an envelope. It was a contract to the BC Lions in 2009 to come down for training camp. And that's when I had to get a passport, get it expedited. I didn't know where Vancouver or Canada was at. And I remember showing up, Roy Shivers, Wally Bono, them, brought me to camp at number 74. And that's the number I wore, and that's what started for me. I ran a play. I was out of bounds. I ran the safety angle. That's like, this guy got some speed, this kid here. All I did was one-on-ones. I really didn't know no plays or none of that because we was deep. We was stocked. Jarrell Banks, G-Roy, Corey Rogers, Paris, Ryan Grice Mullen, like a bunch of names. Terrence that came out of Oregon that year. They was high on him. Terrence Scott, couple guys from Seattle camps, Nevada that they brought in. So I was last on the list. And I did one-on-ones every day, and I got my first opportunity. And every time I touched the ball, it was either a touchdown or a big gain. And that's when I changed my number from 74 to 84. But it was like I was already counted out not to make the team when I came in anyway. You see, so that's just how the story goes. It's been a fight my whole life, but that's what I like most about it.
You've been beating the odds for a while.
Man, my entire life.
You play a couple of years in BC, then you get an opportunity in the NFL.
Yep.
Go to Minnesota.
Minnesota Vikings. Was sitting at home at a youth basketball game, got the phone call. Rick Spielman them called, like, how you like to be a Viking? And I remember sitting in there and was like, okay, that sounds good. But guess what happened the year I was signed? It was the lockout. So when I do get to Minnesota, what now? They sign a bunch of veteran guys. So once again, you got to fight and claw your way up the depth chart. I ended up getting active, and my first game was against the New Orleans Saints.
Hometown team almost, eh?
Yeah, crazy. I'm out there on the front line, kickoff return. So I was able to achieve that playing in there, and then to be able to pick myself on the Madden video game was huge. So it was just always, man, not even – like what Drew Brees say, man, you don't do it to prove people wrong, but you do it to prove those right that actually believes in you. And that's what I had to learn as my career went on. Like, you doing it for these folks that got faith in you and that really believe and are fans of the Manny Show. Yeah.
So you played a few games for Minnesota, and then you end up, I think you spent some time with Washington.
Yep, got released by week
Jets.
8 or 9. I was in OTAs with the Jets, and that ended in 2012. And that's when I came back to BC in 13.
And you came back at the start of the season, right, for 13?
Yeah, came in right at the beginning. Jock Chapdelaine was still there, if I'm not mistaken, played the X position. Yeah.
I want to fast forward a couple of years. 2015, 2016,
Jonathan Jennings.
2017. Was there a more dominant receiver in the CFL those years than Manny Arceneaux?
Yeah, still doing the bomber blocks, doing everything. But what I did was made the most of my opportunities. The Manny Show come into play after Labor Day. So that's when I heat up when it get cold.
Those 3 years, 1,100, 1,500, and 1,100 yards. 3,854 yards and 28 touchdowns in those 3 years. And you're on your way to a fourth year before you got hurt. Yeah, halfway through the year, you're over 500 yards already, right? And then
got hurt, injury, man. But, that's all part of the plan. How would I respond? And I responded every year. So it wasn't, okay, he's up in age, it's a decline. It just injuries. Had ACL, had that twice. Went to Saskatchewan in 19. Apparently really wasn't part of their plans as I was told I would be, but stuck it out like a pro, mentored those guys. Went toured up in the Arena League in 21 because it wasn't football in 20. Came back to Edmonton last year. I probably, in 2022, probably would have had an outstanding year. I got hurt, Ottawa. Caught a route. I almost broke my ankle, which was a high ankle sprain. And you look at this year, coming into it, week 2, week 3, took that low hit in BC, almost tore my knee out the socket. So it's like, you know what, you can get frustrated, aggravated for why everything happened, but it's a message and a purpose in for it, and I might not understand that why. So that's why I always manage to fight my way back to make the most of these situations.
So this is your 11th year in the CFL, right?
Yes.
3 years in the NFL, and you also had 1 year at indoor
2
football.
years, 2 years NFL and 1 indoor. So this is my 14th year.
Yeah, you
11
played
CFL, 2 NFL, and 1 IFL, the Indoor Football League in 21.
Frisco Fighters.
Frisco
right?
Fighters, yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
Man.
First off, how did you get in with them?
Because I was catching with Jonathan Bain, their quarterback. Then they wanted to try out a DB, and he was like, hey, you want to come run some routes? So I'm doing one-on-ones and basically won every rep. And then it's 10 minutes down the street from me, so I was like, you know what? Let me play this indoor league to show the CFL that I'm serious about playing the final year to go out on a good note. Because I looked at everything that I'd accomplished, and then COVID hit in 21. They don't even give me an opportunity. And I was like, this is a sucky way to end your professional career. So I did what I had to do in the indoor league, and just by the grace of God, Edmonton calls, give me an opportunity. And I was like, man, this is how it's supposed to be. Yeah.
You got a call from Chris Jones or G-Roy?
G-Roy, yeah.
G-Roy. Were you expecting a call?
I wasn't.
Because I think I remember talking to you after you signed with Edmonton, and you kind of were getting ready to turn the page.
Yeah, I really was. You know, I kept in touch with Coach Benavides. He was in Ottawa at the time of whatnot, and it was just always saying, you know what, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And it just was a slap in the face because I look at everything I've done up here, and you mean to tell me of other 9 teams I'm not better or good enough to get even a call or to come up, and that's kind of where it was at. But I might have been on the emotional side and took it personal, which I take everything personal because that's how I looked at it. But coming into 2022, I was ready. Woke up every day at 3:50 so I can work out at 4 a.m., finish everything, get my kid to school, the daycare for 6, and didn't miss a beat, and I was still working and coaching athletes. So when I came up to Canada, man, it was like a vacation because it's like, you mean to tell me I don't have daddy duty right now? I get to wake up at 6, 7 in the morning. So, man, I was charged, and that was just like this year. It's like I just want to go out with a bang, man, and just give people vintage Manny, but a guy that's willing to leave it out there on the field because I never cheated the game any of these years that I play, and I think that's what frustrates me most when I have an injury because I look at what I put into it.
You said earlier you're looking to go out on a better note. You didn't want to go out because of COVID, so you wanted one more year. That was 2020. It's 2023, Manny. You're still playing.
Man, I know.
It's a long year.
Man, look, God being good to me and the organization see something that I bring to the table. And it's like being injured now. I feel like I'm letting this organization down, which I shouldn't see it that way, but I was brought here to contribute and make plays. And I think that's what I fight most about. It's for the guys in the locker room. But for me, man, it's deeper than that. It's for the little kids you see that want the miniature football sign, the parents, and every time I walk in Save-On, that's going to ask me when these Elks going to win, or, hey, you shouldn't have changed the name or something. I have a conversation every single day I step out. And then when somebody realizes, oh, what's your name again? Emmanuel. Oh, you Manny Arceneaux. Now, I was a fan of you in BC and da-da-da-da. But it's just like I still wear my Elks gear, you see, proudly because I know at some point it's going to change and things going to turn around. But it's like I'm mature enough to have those conversations. I don't see it as nagging. But it's like I do this for them guys in the locker room, this organization, but more importantly, the community. And that's what I've always played the game for, the community, because it's like them the folks that fill the stands, and you never know which kid life you might have an impact in, scoring a touchdown, throwing the ball to them, signing their little gloves or giving it to them, or photos.
That's a great segue into last season. Your first season in Edmonton, not only did you come to a new team, a new city, and a new community, but you got yourself into that community. You were a winner of the David Boone Award for community service for the Elks, and you went on to win the Tom Pate Award across the CFL for your community service. Why do you do that? Why is that so important to you to make sure? I mean, no one would have thought anything about coming into a new team like this and worried about yourself and getting integrated with the team, let alone the community. But you got out there. I mean, everybody saw Manny Arceneaux all over the place.
Because you got to think, man, grew up in Alexandria, poverty-stricken, against every odd, and I wasn't supposed to make it. But if it wasn't for the community, coaches, mentors, teachers, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. So anytime that I can give back, make an impact, I'm going to do it because that's the only thing that ever saved me and kept me on the straight and narrow where I'm at now. So it was those people in the community that saw enough in me or knew that I had the potential to be something that stuck by my side. So you mean to tell me something that take zero talent, you know what, time is being invested the right way because you're making an impact. So anything that I can do in the community, for the community, that comes first. You see what I'm saying? Because I wouldn't be here without that. And you look at the Manny Show brand. Who grows that? The community. And they made that possible. And they made it, they made the journey fun, and they made it everything far as me making comebacks year in and year out worth it. So it's like, it's all about the community for me, because if with no community, there's no Manny Show. That's what the Manny Show ties into, the community. So that the community is everything, and it's always been that way.
It's great. Yeah, full kudos for that. I mean, it's you do great work. I know you did it in BC, and I know you're doing it here. And as like I said, on short notice here, you just came in and got yourself immersed in the community, which is fantastic. Do you? I don't know how many years you got left, how many years you want to keep playing, and I won't ask you because I know, a lot of people didn't expect you back for 22. A lot of people didn't expect you back for 23, but here you are. Is it too early, or you ever sat back and looked at your career and thought about the accomplishment? I mean, top 30 in receptions, top 30 in yards. You're going to be the 30th guy to get to 9,000 yards receiving.
I think about it all the time. And I have these conversations with these guys to be better than me. You have the resources to be better than me. The times are different. You know what? It's a QB-driven league. The ball is thrown around. Y'all can be better than me. My athletes I coach, be better than me. But I always remember that. But I never talk my accolades or throw them out there to make somebody feel as if I think I'm superior or bigger than them. I downplay my accomplishments all the time. Like me and Gino was joking around. I just like, what's crazy? I'm one of the all-decade receivers. For a decade, I dominated and was the best at my position. Nobody know that, because I was like, do I need to take that crystal plaque when I go home for the bye and bring it back? Or the bobbleheads, or just look up the things that I've accomplished over the season, the all-stars, man, the when you mention the 2015, 16, those type years. But I don't speak on none of that because it's not important. It's in the past. But now I look back at it all the time, man, and be like, bro, I am blessed. And it's just like wanting to chip away at that still. What I need, 36 yards or something? Somewhere around there, whatever that number is. And it's like, man, it's eating at me because I'm like, I want that. I want to achieve that. Like, that might be a moment to almost bring tears to my eyes, because it's a guy that don't supposed to be playing football made it in football. Like, my college career, high school career don't compare to probably none of these guys on the team, because they've been a guy their whole life at playing football. You looking at me, I started when I was 15, 16, 17.
That's late for football, right?
Right, exactly. And I just look at it, man, and just it's the fact of competing, the locker room, that kind of keep me going. How many years I have left, I don't even know. But for me, man, when the rubber meet the road, it's time to show up and play until my body tell me, look, no, you can't play no more. That's my mentality. But if I'm able to contribute, man, and play at a high level, that's what I'm here for. And if it's time to turn the page, I'm ready for that, because football is my occupation. It's not my identity. And,
excellent. All right, Manny, appreciate your time. We got 3 questions. We call it the red zone.
Okay.
Last 3 questions to get you out. And you're free to answer however you want.
Okay.
First CFL game you ever saw?
Oh, man, the one that I played in.
You'd be surprised how many times I get that answer.
Yeah. That's it. The one that I played in.
It didn't surprise me from Dean Faithful last week because he's from England, right? So, but a lot of guys, the first one they play in is the first game they ever see.
Yeah, that's the first one I saw. The first one I played in preseason, 2009. Who we had, was it Saskatchewan? Yeah, that's who it was. We had Saskatchewan and Calgary that year. It was one of them teams.
How'd you do?
I did pretty good. You know what? I scored that Calgary game. Zach Champion threw me a touchdown. That's what it was, because we had Calgary and we had Edmonton. Yep, one was at BC Place and the other one was in Calgary. So it was one of them two, and I had catches in both, so yeah.
Nice. That's a good way to start. That got you on the team then, right?
Yeah, both of them, yeah.
All right, question number 2, your best football memory.
2010, catching the ball, 14 seconds on the clock in Mosaic, the Hail Mary I caught from Travis Lulay. And that guy, I think that catch that took it in overtime, got me my opportunity to join the NFL that year.
Nice. All right. And last one, biggest name in your phone.
Biggest name in my phone, like far as a person that's big time?
Yeah.
Victor.
It's good.
Hey, yeah, he big time. You know, he done a lot of things, man. The entrepreneur route, the things that he had with his the little company that he started with the fighting out in Asia and all that stuff. But nah, I guess it's a bunch of athletes and former athletes that was teammates. But yeah, he the first person that came to mind because I was like, oh yeah, he is a big deal. And you know what? He gonna right this ship, man. Him and the guys that's around here, man, gonna turn things around. So I really believe that.
You should hear the answers he had for that question. It was pretty impressive. It was pretty impressive for sure. Manny, thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it, and look forward to seeing you back out on the field. I think you got 2-3 more games to go on the on the 6th game. By watching you on social media and your workouts, looks like you're going to be ready in that time frame. So I look forward to seeing you.
That's the plan, if God willing.
All right, that is Manny Arceneaux, and that's Antler Up, which is the Manny Show for this week. Don't forget to like and subscribe the show, and we thank you for downloading on whatever platform you listen to Antler Up. My name is Morley Scott, and I will see you next time on Antler Up.
Touchdown, Antler Up!